Shalom. So I wanted to discuss about the concept of saying Baruch Hashem, as far as in Tanakh. We just learned in chapter 7 of Ezra that Ezra said Baruch Hashem. So there's a misunderstanding. I heard someone say, and it was second time somebody said it. They said that Jethro was the first person to say Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, but quick
Wait,
question.
wait, 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 let me finish. You ask questions afterwards. It's just a 5 minute. Okay,
Yeah.
so so Jethro was not the first person to say Baruch Hashem in the Torah. Okay, so in uh next week's parsha, Yisro, so Jethro does say Baruch Hashem, right?
But Avraham
So
was the first person who said Baruch Hashem.
wait a second. So that's the parsha. So it's Exodus 18:10. Jethro said, "Blessed is Hashem," right? But he's not the first one. Okay, so Eliezer Yaakov. You said Abraham was the first one to say Baruch Hashem?
Yes.
Okay, which verse was that? Would you?
Um, which verse was that? That I think I don't know. Maybe it was in Parshas.
Maybe it was the Medrash that you read. I do know. For example, his servant Eliezer is recorded as saying Baruch Hashem first. So
Yeah,
let
so he's the first
let
person.
let me quote that. So this is in Parshas Chayesara, Genesis chapter 24, verse 27. He said, "Blessed is Hashem, God of my master Abraham, who has not withheld his kindness and truth from my master. As for me, Hashem has guided me on the way to the house of my master's brothers." So so now Laban, uh, so he Laban he was we see by Jacob, Laban had a like a conniver's streak. He liked to twist things. So he called Eliezer Baruch Hashem. Now in the English they translated it. He said, "Come, O blessed of Hashem, why should you stand outside when I cleared the house and place for the camels?" That's chapter 24, verse 31. But if you look in the Hebrew, right, verse 31, Ve'omer Bo Baruch Hashem, and he said, "Come, blessed is God." So in other words, Baruch Hashem is like potentially because Laban was like had this the trickster streak into him. He could have been using it as a joke. He now is calling Eliezer Baruch Hashem. You understand? Like someone who says, uh, you know, don't say lashon hara, don't say lashon hara, and somebody like with a scorner streak would say to him, "Okay, Chavetz Chaim, we won't say lashon hara." Like he's mocking him for his great goodness. That's the way of the wicked. You understand? So but we see that technically the phrase Baruch Hashem was also said by Lavan before Yisro, right? So what does it mean? Yisro was the first person to say Baruch Hashem. That's only true if you're saying the first person to convert to Judaism who said Baruch Hashem. But the first person who was a Ben Noach was we see is Eliezer. He said Baruch Hashem. That's Genesis chapter 24. Of course, in the Midrashim, then the forefathers are quoting as saying Baruch Hashem. But as far as verses go, so uh, the verse talks about Eliezer and even Lavan before Yisro, so therefore it's a misunderstanding to say that Jethro uh, was Baruch Hashem. So now, one other misunderstanding connected with Eliezer, it's important to know the there is a medrash that says Eliezer was Gog. No, Eliezer was Og, Melech Bashan. Og, the king of Bashan, was Eliezer. But there's another medrash that says Eliezer who Canaan. Canaan is the son of Ham, the son of Noah. So now the medrash describes uh, Og and Ham as two separate people, right? And this is before Ham had children. So when someone says the Medrash Eliezer he was Og, so they're not understanding what the Maimar Chazal is saying. Eliezer he was Og. It means they have a spiritual similar makeup. Even though Eliezer had a personality similar to Og, he could have been a mighty warrior like Nimrod and conquered the world. Nevertheless, he humbled himself to become a servant to Abraham to be as close to God as possible in his generation. You understand? So Eliezer, he is Og, is a praise of Eliezer, not an identity of Eliezer. Eliezer, he is Canaan, could be his identity. It's possible that he was Canaan, the son of Ham, the son of Noah. So how is it possible Eliezer could be Canaan, the son of Ham, the son of Noah? Because of justice, and God's servants practice justice. What do I mean by that? Because Ham hurt Noah, and Noah cursed his son Canaan. Why would Noah curse the innocent? Right? So Noah should have cursed Ham, but instead, what he did was he cursed his righteous son Canaan, so that Ham should know that all of his children would have a curse, because Canaan was so righteous he wouldn't have sinned, and he wouldn't have deserved any punishment whatsoever for having hurt Noah. So therefore, Noah added to it to remove the pleasant spirit of Ham for hurting him. But obviously, it's a difficult situation. Noah Noah's the forefather of all the children of Canaan, right? So it requires more depth to understanding that. But at least there's a reason why um, even a righteous Canaan would have to be uh, cursed is that to overcome the great merit Canaan must have had. Now, rather than saying there's two descendants of Ham who are on the level of Eliezer, actually makes sense to say Canaan who Eliezer. He changed his name to no longer identify with the evil of his father, and instead of becoming a mighty conqueror of the world like Nimrod, another son of descendant of Ham, uh, Eliezer instead became a servant to Abraham. He humbled himself as possible to raise in spirituality. And the Medrash says he emulated Abraham to such an extent that God changed his physical appearance, his cheekbones and etc. changed until he looked like Abraham in his face. His face began to look like Abraham. That's how righteous Eliezer was. So these midrashim that talk about how righteous Eliezer was, it has no connection whatsoever to Og, except to juxtapose that Og was and Eliezer was the same type of person. He could have been a mighty warrior like Og or Nimrod, but instead he humbled himself and became a servant of Abraham. All right, thank you. Any questions before we pause?
Question.
My son Eliezer Yaakov has a question about Eliezer perhaps. Yes.
Did all the prophets foreshadow the Holocaust that would happen after the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash? Did they see that through prophecy?
Not all the prophets, but some did.
Like Moshe Rabbeinu?
Yeah, we'll have to answer that in a subsequent class later or something. But yeah, so it is alluded to in prophecy in Deuteronomy where it discusses where God will hide his face. That's just an allusion to it. It goes into more detail in the later in the prophets. But we'll have to answer that question later. Okay, so I guess we'll pause here as far as our Eliezer, servant of Abraham discussion.
All right. Thank you,
All right,
Rabbi.
thank you.